Hello lovelies, I'm Christina and today I am giving you my August wrap-up and my September TBR. Now for August I didn't really read that many books, so that's why I'm combining the wrap-up and the TBR together. Yeah, let's jump into the books. Now the first book that I finished in the month of August was an audiobook that I listened to on Audible, and that was Fellside by Carey. Now I read The Girl with All the Gifts, I think it was last year or the year before that, and really loved it. It's a zombie story, and as Jen Campbell said, it is as if The Walking Dead and Roald Dahl's Matilda had a book baby. That's pretty much what it is. And I really enjoyed his writing style. So when I found out about Felside, I was really curious about it and wanted to read that as well. Felside is a story about a woman who is sent to prison for setting her apartment complex on fire while she's high on drugs and killing the boy that lived in the apartment above her. She doesn't remember anything, so she herself thinks that she's guilty. Then she comes to this female prison that's called Fellside, and suddenly a little ghost boy shows up, and it is the boy that she killed, and he's telling her that she is innocent. So it is her story of trying to find out what really happened to this boy, as well as coping with the corrupt female prison that she is in. Really interesting story. I very much enjoyed it, and I thought the voice, the narrator, what's her name? I can never remember the names of narrator unless it's Will Wheaton. Ever. Let me see. Felside, narrated by Finty Williams. Now Finty Williams did a really good job. I really enjoyed listening to her voice. She did very well when it came to differ between the voices of the characters, which is something that I really like because it makes it so much easier for me to listen to and to keep track of all the characters. So this was a very suspenseful, very interesting story, and I really enjoyed it and highly recommend it. Next up, I finished a poetry collection, and that was Lullabies by Leav. This is just a collection of short poems like this and longer writings like this one, all set around love and relationships. I thought it was really well executed, really enjoyed it. Some I really loved, some were like meh. I think after reading Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur, like any poetry collection just doesn't live up to here for me, but I still really enjoyed this, and I will definitely get my hands on more of her books and see what I think about them as well. And the last book that I finished in the month of August was The Stand by Stephen King. I have a full review of The Stand, which I will link to both in a card up here in the video and in the description down below, so you can go check that out if you want to. So I'm not going to go super into detail about it this time around, but it is the story about a government facility who has experimented on biological warfare. They made a super flu that's very contagious and kills off people really quickly. This one is released by accident and kills off about 90% or more of the population. So we then get to follow how people are struggling with seeing all of their loved ones dying, and as well as trying to cope with being alone and then finding back together with other people who are also immune and survivors of the super flu, and then trying to build up a new society, as well as they struggle with the build up to the stand between good and evil. It was truly fantastic. I really loved it, and like I said, if you want to know more, go check out my full-on review of The Stand, and where you will get all of my thoughts and all of the details. So my camera overheated and I had to take a break. So it was a good excuse to go and make banana, peanut butter, almond milk, iced coffee shake, which is super good. Okay, we're gonna leave that and hopefully I won't tip it over. Now, I finished the books that I read in August, so let's jump into what I plan on reading in September. Now, I only have a few books on my set TBR. There are some other books that I have on my radar, and also the new Stephen King and Owen King novel comes out at the end of September. It is Sleeping Beauties. I pre-ordered it with like super fast delivery from Amazon UK. So maybe I will get it before September is over, maybe not. if it arrives here before that, I'm just gonna drop everything and read just that. And it's a chunker of a book. It's about 750 pages or something like that. And it is the story of a world where suddenly all of the women fall asleep and can't be woken up, and how then all the men are trying to cope with this world where there are no women. Except for one. There's one woman there who is not a victim of this sleeping disease, so they don't know if that means that she's like the chosen one or if that means she's pure evil, but it sounds super interesting and I'm very, very excited for it. Like any Stephen King novel, I will get super geekily excited about, so you know that. But yes, so if that arrives early, I will drop everything. So I guess I'm keeping my TBR a bit open for that, as well as I want to see if there's anything that catches my eye during the month. And I do have some books on my Kindle that I want to get to, some that I'm already parts way in, and some that I really want to start. But for the handheld novels and comics that I want to read this month, it is one that I started in July. I think I actually started, yes, I started it on the Booktubeathon. I got really invested in listening to The Sand, so I kind of put everything else off for a while, but I picked this one up again and I do want to finish it in September, and that is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. I've mentioned this before, a story about a town where there's a dark forest set around. There's a wizard called the Dragon that protects the townspeople. Every 10 years they have to sacrifice one of their girls to go live with him for 10 years, and when she returns she's not like she was before, and they often tend to leave the town after a little while. Now Agnieszka, the male protagonist in the story, she's certain that her best friend is going to be picked by the dragon as the girl to go with him, but then she ends up being the one that's picked instead, and it turns out that she has some magical abilities as well. So far I am a bit over halfway through. I'm really enjoying it. It's really well written. It is very magical and very mysterious. So yes, going to finish this in September. The next book that I want to get to in September is a horror novel, and that is The Hatching by Ezekiel Boone. Yes, Ezekiel Boone. It's a story about spiders. That's all I know. That's all I want to know. Last time I showed this around in my haul, I read the short thing that says on the back where it says, "The world is on the brink of an apocalyptic disaster. A virulent ancient species, long dormant, is now very much awake." And I also mentioned that I might regret this, really. I don't like spiders. Why do I torture myself? Let's just hope it's good. Now, the last two things that I really set on my TBR are a couple of comics, and I got these a while back, and it is purely for nostalgic reasons. I used to have this show on VHS. I watched it all the time. It was one of my favorites. I made Leander watch it with me now on Netflix numerous of times, and he really enjoys it as well. And they're remaking it now with new storylines and with David Tennant as one of the voices. And I'm really, really excited about it. But when I saw these on sale, I really had to get them because, oh, the nostalgia. But yes, you want to know what it is? It is Curlbark's Greatest DuckTales Stories Volume 1 and Volume 2. I've just flipped through these, and there's so many of the stories that I remember so well from my childhood, and this is just going to be one of those cozy reads where you just walk down memory lane and go back to being a kid and enjoy it for what it is. I can't wait to dive into this. And I got them for like $2 each or something like that. They were super cheap, so I'm happy to own these. I'm not sure if there are more than volume 1 and 2. I might have to check that out. So there you have it. That is my set TBR for September. Let me know if you've read any of these and have any thoughts. As always, I would love to hear it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up if you liked it, and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And I will see you in my next video soon. Goodbye!